Hi, we're here today with sociologist Michael Welch and revolutionary artist Dred Scott. Both of these men have had some dealings with the controversial flag burning issue, and they're here to discuss that. Michael is in the process of writing a book on it, and Dred was one of the people during the landmark case that went to the Supreme Court where, well, let's let Dred talk about it. Can you give us some background on what exactly happened in 1989?
Well, the background actually goes back sort of to before the flag burning case, and actually it goes originally to a 1984 flag burning case where Joey Johnson, who was a spokesperson for the Revolutionary Communist Youth Brigade, was part of a demonstration where a flag was burned, and in that demonstration he was charged with flag burning under the Texas statute. That case then went to the Supreme Court in 1989. In 1989 I had an artwork at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, which had, amongst other things, a flag on the floor, and part of it was an interactive piece where it had a photo montage on the wall, and there were several South Korean students burning a flag, you know, saying Yankee, holding signs saying "Yankee go home, son of a bitch," and several flag-draped coffins, and then people could respond to the question, what's the proper way to display a U.S. flag? And so, let
me ask you, is it or was it illegal at the time to put a flag on the floor?
Well, the courts ruled that no, it wasn't, but there were laws which, you know, they tried to enact to outlaw the piece. And so it wasn't even so much that the flag was on the floor, but the fact that literally thousands of people walked on it. And, you know, it was a quite controversial thing. There were laws passed to outlaw it. And so that sort of set the stage for the Texas case, went to the Supreme Court right after the exhibit in Chicago. And that case, you know, because of all the political controversy and how exposed the powers that be were, you know, they had to back down, and they decided not to reinstate Joey's conviction. And so, in the first flag burning case, everything was cool.
So the case fizzled before it got to the Supreme Court.
Well, it didn't fizzle; it grew. It actually became, you know, it was on, you know, Nightline and you know.
But there were no charges brought against Joey. He was acquitted, basically.
Well, he was acquitted. Then the Texas appellate court reinstated his conviction. They said that you know, or well, actually no. He was convicted. The Texas appellate court overturned the conviction on constitutional grounds, saying that the law was illegal, and then Texas appealed to the Supreme Court trying to reinstate the conviction, and no, he wasn't. And so. But so all that was, so basically had the Supreme Court decided that the Texas law was constitutional, Joey would have done a year in jail possibly and faced a $1,000 fine. That case then got, you know, the Supreme Court was forced to back down in a 5-4 decision, and then basically almost immediately after that a new national flag statute was introduced, which also included legislation in specific reference to my artwork, introduced by Bob Dole, saying that, you know, no form of flag mutilation, desecration, placing on the floor or ground, farting upon, ripping, shredding, doing, you know, anything mean to a red, white, and blue piece of paper or cloth would be tolerated. And that set the stage for the minute that law went into effect all over the country, in New York and Seattle, but also other places, people burned flags, thousands of them, and they didn't sort of, I mean, the powers said, like, look, they had this mandate of the people, and everybody wanted to protect the flag, but then the second the law went into effect, the law was violated by thousands of people. And so they didn't arrest nobody, so me and Joey Johnson and Dave Blaylock, who's a Vietnam vet, and Sean Eichmann went to the steps of the U.S. Capitol 2 days later and burned flags on the steps of the Capitol. And that case is sort of the next flag burning case that went to the Supreme Court with the national flag statute.
And what was the result?
Well, the result was that the powers that be really wanted to throw us in jail, but again, because of how things got, you know, exposed, they were forced to back down. I mean, it's like, you know, initially it looked like they might have been able to have enough public opinion to do it, but, you know, in the course of things, you know, lots of people started writing in, you know, letters to the editor and you know, writing to Congress. People were, you know, doing all sorts of things, writing op-eds in newspapers and having forums and debate, and things just sort of shifted. And, you know, it's like, you know, during that time, like the Chinese, you know, the you know, government under Deng Xiaoping, like, carried out the Tiananmen massacre, and so the U.S. is trying to say, hey, we're the leader of free speech and democracy, and yet they're trying to put create political prisoners out of people for burning the U.S. flag, you know, which is a real righteous act. And
what was the Supreme Court decision?
Well, the Supreme Court decision basically said that, as applied, the national flag burning statute did not have merit to the particular case.
To the particular case, or was the flag burning statute unconstitutional?
It was unconstitutional as applied. which is different. There are two ways they could strike down a law, either on its face or as applied. On its face means there's no way in hell under any circumstance the law could ever be considered constitutional. And as applied means that under the narrow specifications of how the law was applied to the particular individual or individuals, that the law is not constitutional. But given what it was, I mean, there's really no way that a flag burning or flag desecration statute will be upheld. But the thing is, now they're going after people different ways, because lots of people still hate the flag and are, you know, sort of dissonant in lots of different ways. And so people have been brought to court under, you know, civil disobedience, or, you know, inciting to riot, or, you know, causing a public nuisance, or lots of other things, which, I mean, they're particularly going after people's political speech, you know, and you know, outrage at the U.S. They're going after that and trying to say it's not political act, it's action, and therefore we have to use other laws to suppress it.